Because you've already heard of Cradle to Cradle, and because Caitlin did such a good job in explaining a product or service, I'm going to tell you about why I think dogs are like companies, or companies are like dogs. And specifically my dog. My dog's name is Elephant, and when I got her, she was about 9 weeks old, and I could fit her in my palm of my hand. And the second I held on to her, I completely fell in love with her. And if you guys have a dog, you know exactly what this is like. You're like, I am going to be the best dog parent ever, and this is going to be the best dog ever. And so I trained her positively with treats, and all of my jeans smelled like dog treats for about a year because wherever we went, I made sure that she was being positively trained. And I was so proud of myself because she's really a great dog. And then one day we go to the beach with some friends, and we're with a 2-year-old Vizsla. And Vizslas are really fast, beautiful, high-energy dogs. And the Vizsla's about 30 yards out in front. And my well-trained puppy is right next to me, of course. And all of a sudden, my friends call back the Vizsla, and the Vizsla comes tearing toward us. And my little puppy crouches down into the sand. And I'm like, oh, this is so cute. She has a hunting instinct. And all of a sudden, as soon as the Vizsla approached, my dog jumps up and goes, woof, and attacks the dog. And we all laugh and think, oh, this is so funny. Turns out my dog grows to be about 80 pounds, and she's all muscle, and she's been diagnosed with fear aggression, right? So you think that this adorable behavior is fine until you watch this trigger sort of flip. And what happens in those moments of fear aggression is literally you can't do anything to stop this dog. You can yell, you can hold up your treats, and it does not matter because she is going full force after this other dog. So what do? Is I spend my time avoiding other dogs. We do the positive, encouragement, and we make sure that the dog does not attack other dogs. Fortune 500 companies are exactly like my dog, and I'll tell you why. Because even though, and even actually a lot of small companies are not the companies in this room, of course, but what happens is as soon as a company becomes a company and goes from being a nascent idea that you love and you are fiercely attached to being something that actually has to scale and become worldwide in terms of profit and loss, the Borg mind sets in, and your survival is actually equivalent to your financial survival. So instead of it being about, you're now a puppy, you're fearing of this little dog, your only mode of thinking about fight or flight has to do with if you are financially solvent. So I became a management consultant in sustainability for many years before I did Cradle to Cradle. And all we would do is exactly what I would do with my dog, which is we give these Fortune 500 companies return on investment projections and marketing plans and organizational models so that they could essentially tell them, all we'd be doing is saying, it's okay. You can make a leap to doing something different. And I remember one very large company who we had almost convinced to do something quite brave. And he said to me, I absolutely want to be a leader, but who else is doing this? And we said, the thing about being a leader is you're going to be first. And the fear in this very executive man's eyes was palpable. So the thing is that's the corporate life, and we like to think that there's a distinction between people that are corporate and people that are environmentalists, but I'm telling you, environmentalists are actually the same. We like to quote problems to each other the same way that sports fans like to quote stats to each other. We say things like, the atmospheric carbon level is 391 when it should be 350, and that's worse because actually that anthropogenic carbon is getting sequestered into the ocean, which is causing the pH to rise from 8.25 drop from 8.25 down to 8.02, which means that the acidification of the oceans is leading to the destruction of the coral reefs, which means that the bottom of the food chain is dropping out before our eyes. And you hear all that, and you go, is she just saying the coral reefs are dissolving and the food chain is dropping out? And you don't know what to do with that. I mean, I don't care how smart you are, you don't know what to do with that. I don't care if you work for NASA or the Oceanic Services. you get paralyzed by fear, and that's where Cradle to Cradle comes in, which is, it's a positive agenda. Sarah knows this one. It's a positive agenda that's actually premised on nature's laws, which says you can still produce things, you can still wear sweaters, you can still make chairs. Steelcase makes really good chairs that are Cradle to Cradle certified. And you don't actually have to fear that you're dropping out the bottom of the food chain, because what you've done is actually design things not just to be taken back, but things to be beneficial cycles. I call this a mindset of, I think this is a really important point, because we actually have to show that a positive agenda exists as an alternative to the fear-based inclinations that we actually all have. And the numbers are scary. You know, Judy and Aaron showed at the beginning, like the world is in a mess. Facts are critical, but they will paralyze us. So what I'm going to put forth to you guys is actually a challenge. Since you did so well with your first challenge, I've got another challenge for you. Here's what I face. There's 3 problems that great companies like Steelcase and others face. Now, like, when you get into a positive mindset, you can take something like carpet and say, instead of it being beautiful and high performance, really what I want it to do is to capture particulate matter so that the air is actually cleaner than the air outside, which is a big deal because most air inside is actually 10 times worse than air outside. In hospitals, using certain carpets that we endorse, the air is actually better. Patients are actually getting healthier faster simply because the particulate matter that normally would have been kicked back up is being captured into a carbon-based fiber. So that's what happens when you can be in, like, when you've designed something that's a positive mindset, you can start to do really creative things. Instead of just making a chair, you can make a chair that's non-toxic, can be disassembled in 5 minutes, and also is stunning and, you know, high performance. But here are the problems. Problem number 1, we don't know what's in everything. We don't know what's in this polymer, we don't know what's in that adhesive, we don't know what's in that pigment in your sweater. And it's expensive to find out. So until we actually have a open source, Creative Commons way to approach sharing of data about what is in materials, we will continue to have very expensive, labor-intensive processes where we figure out what's in your supply chain. What is in the foaming agent in that pigment that you're using in that particular envelope? It is boring and time-consuming, and nobody wants to do it, but the fact is we cannot recreate the Industrial Revolution until we actually have this kind of like fundamental knowledge. Got it? Problem number 1, learn what's in your stuff. Problem number 2 is we need new stuff. We need new materials. We need things that are actually designed for the technical cycle, since you guys all know Cradle to Cradle, technical or biological cycle. We need new pigments and adhesives and foams that are designed for one of these 2 cycles. And
very dramatic.
It's a very, like, super big point. Once things are actually designed appropriately, then all of a sudden we can have this continued flow of commerce. The third thing, and actually I'm hoping that eBay takes a role in this, because actually I have a plan. So for the Caitlin's here. It doesn't make sense for this chair, once it's been somehow debilitated or destroyed, to be taken apart in 5 minutes and then its parts sent back to Grand Rapids, Michigan. What we should have are a series of local economies where local manufacturing is actually possible again. So that when I can take this polymer and I can identify it, because now I know what's in it down to the parts per million, right? Because we've solved problem number 1. I can take this particular polymer and I can say, I live in the greater Bay Area. I know these are the following kind of businesses. I'm going to go ahead and sell to them. All of a sudden we handle 2 problems with, in one stone. We know that actually the manufacturing of that is going to be clean because we know what's in it. And the second thing is solved because all of a sudden we're not paying for shipping. And we've created new jobs, which I know Gavin cares about. So these are the 3 problems that I really need you guys to work on. You've proven yourselves to be exemplary across every other aspect. But the fundamental position is going to be coming from a place of creativity and bravery and love, and not the fear-based reaction of dogs. So with that, I say thank you very much.